Welcome to the GCN show.
This week, we're in Mallorca.
That was way better than we were expecting. Yes, we have a live audience who have remained lively despite the efforts we've made to drain all of the energy out of them by being here in Mallorca. Coming up on this week's show, some of the worst cycling jerseys you've ever seen, made even worse by the fact they're going to be modelled by our own presenters.
We also have exciting news about wind turbines, a special edition of Hank or Bodge, and your chance to win a brand new Orbea Orca Aero.
This week in the world of cycling, we learnt that Jordi Meyers of Bora Hansgrohe is not a glass half full kind of guy.
He's not a glass half empty kind of guy, they're just a glass completely empty kind of dude.
Yep, this is him emptying his glass in the space of about 10 seconds at the Euro Metropole Tour last week, won, incidentally, by Fabio Jakobsen. Also this week, we learnt that Soggy Bridgewood here, and that clip of him sinking rather than swimming, never gets old.
I'll be honest with you, Dan. It does feel to me like it is getting kind of old. Plus, that thing is impossible to ride. I don't think it actually works. Anyway, we also learned this week how much we've all missed Paris-Roubaix.
Although actually, as we record this, we haven't learned that yet because we are 24 hours before the excitement kicks off in France. So right now, we're going to go back to the studio in Sai to find out what happened.
Can we get some applause sound effects so I don't sound like quite such a Larry Loner? Would that be okay? Not quite what I had in mind. But anyway, Paris-Roubaix was just fantastic. The first ever women's Paris-Roubaix was every bit as good as we'd hoped for. Lizzie Deignan broke away with 86 kilometres remaining and built up an insurmountable lead despite the best efforts of Marianne Vos, who closed to within just over a minute. Deignan's teammate Elisa Longo Borghini rounded out the podium in third. Now, whilst the women's peloton escaped the worst of the weather, the men's peloton bore the full brunt of it the very next day. Heavy rain turning the cobbles into a mud bath. But despite the race being a true epic in every sense of the word, fortunately the predicted carnage didn't quite materialise. Now, Gianni Moscon was looking good for a solo victory from the early break, but a puncture, a crash and then failing legs ultimately meant that, unlike Deignan, he was caught and then passed by a three-rider group. Of them, Sonny Colbrelli was the fastest on the velodrome, ahead of surprise Florian Vermeersch and probably quite disappointed Mathieu van der Poel, who'd animated the race but could only get third. So, the first ever weekend in hell was a resounding success, and I cannot wait for April next year. But a quick note before I go on the equality. We're not quite there yet. In fact, we've still got a long way to go between the men's and the women's. Colbrelli took home €30,000 for first place. Deignan, just €1,535. And whilst we were treated to every kilometre of the men's race live, in the women's race, we only had the last 60. But still, we are off the ground and running. Hopefully, after the success of this year, the momentum will only build from here. Right, back to you both.
Thank you very much to Sai. I guess the only thing that we can accurately predict is that by the time you watch this, we will have witnessed two fantastic races, and we just hope there's nothing serious that happens within them.
Indeed. Anyway, this week we are discussing the hideous history of cycling fashion and why we're one of the luckiest generations at the moment in terms of fashion, apart from one reason.
Is it the reason I'm thinking of?
Why, what are you thinking?
Well, immediately into my head came this jersey.
No, not that. I mean, cycling fashion does have a bit of a checkered past, I'll admit. But for the first 100 years, it was kind of pretty good. Like, it was a lot of very sort of smart and, you know, tasteful wool jerseys and shorts out there. I mean, they were a bit rubbish and uncomfortable, but they looked good.
Well, I think that any garment in which you have to put a raw stake down it to be comfortable on your saddle is, by its very definition, rubbish. Although that said, even some modern cycling shorts don't keep you comfortable if you're not doing the right type of cycling. Isn't that right, Hank?
Oh, easy. I need to get a new saddle.
Anyway, we are digressing away from the topic at hand, so let's get back onto it. So cycling fashion, as Ollie mentioned, started off pretty well. I mean, those woolen jerseys and shorts, they looked pretty cool, didn't they? Even if they didn't really work very well. However, cycling fashion went drastically downhill upon the invention of spandex, and more specifically than spandex, sublimation. Had to look at the script for that one, which is basically where you take a white set of material and dye it in various colours to make some fairly intricate patterns.
Yes, well, intricate patterns or just garish designs. I mean, a lot of it's just vomit-inducing, to be honest. To give you an idea of what we're talking about, where's Hank? There he is. Can't miss him. Check this out.
You're not going to miss me, are you? This is the Chazal Vita 1993 kit, and I've got to say, I like it. It was actually a team that was 26th in the rankings in the World Tour that year, so well, I reckon they did pretty well.
No, and this actually is a team that continues to this day, now known as Agi Desert Citoyen, or Age to Our Citroën, as we would say in English, and they've got rid of the Dayglow pink and yellow and blue in favour of the famous brown shorts that we know and love. Yeah.
Anyhow, I think, we need to establish whether or not you think this is hot or not.
And we will clarify that you are only voting on the jersey, not the model. Right, so cheer. Cheer if you think this jersey is hot, and give a loud jeer if you think it's not. That is not what I was expecting. Audience have voted this jersey hot.
Agreed. Right, well, you can go now, Hank. Thanks.
You do make it look better than I thought it was going to look, Hank, I've got to say.
Next up, we've got another French team jersey, and this is going to be modelled appropriately by Florian. And this is a jersey that cycling enthusiasts will know and love, and perhaps some hate. Florian, what is it?
This is the Castorama jersey, actually from 1991, home of the French rider, late, great Laurent Fignon.
Right, Castorama, 1991. We're going to get you to vote again. Is this classically cool or horrendous? Let us know by cheering if you like it and think it's hot, jeering if it's not. And again, this is a jersey, not the model. 3, 2, 1. Oh!
Wow, I mean, that's a resounding not for that one. I think in its defence, we've only got the jersey in isolation here, and people are forgetting that it was combined with some rather fetching shorts that gave the illusion that you were wearing dungarees. And then, once paired with a blonde ponytail and glasses, I mean, it was quite the look. That said, we're going to move on, and you might be noticing something of a theme now, because we have yet another French jersey.
We do, yes. So please step onto the stage. Sebas, who is in this jersey. Now, this is Toshiba from 1991, I think, or 1990. So this team actually started out life as La Vie Claire, which had one of, if not the coolest cycling jersey that pro cycling has ever seen. However, in 1987, Toshiba became the main sponsor, and then by 1990, this was how the jersey looked.
Do you know what? I really like it. I think it's pretty, like, 90s retro cool. I'm Sebas makes stuff look good, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. Right, third vote then. Hot or not? Jersey, not model. 3, 2, 1. Yeah!
I told you, that jersey, right, is cool AF, Dan. That's what the kids say these days.
Yeah, I've never known what it meant.
No, I don't either. Anyway, next up, we've saved the most hideous till last, right? Where's Manon? Here she comes.
I have well and truly been flicked here. This is the Amore Vita McDonald's jersey from 2008, and it's made even more beautiful by the lovely mud stains.
but it didn't come with the mud stains. That's from the buffet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy your spaghetti bolognese, Manon? What I love most about this jersey, Amora Vita at McDonald's, apart from the amazing design, is the fact they managed to attract two humongous sponsors. McDonald's, Coca-Cola. The budget for that team must have been enormous.
I wasn't. They were a third division pro team, which meant that the McDonald's sponsorship probably came about from just a lone random McDonald's franchise somewhere, and maybe just a shop that sold Coca-Cola.
Probably. Yeah, I have a feeling that anybody quite high up at Coca-Cola or McDonald's had no idea they were sponsoring a third division Italian outfit back in the day. You decide in the audience, cheer if you think it's hot, a jeer if you think it's not, jersey, not model. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, you can go put it in the bin now. There you go.
You cannot put it in the bin because I need to put it back on eBay and recoup some of my losses. Now, whilst Manon looks to be taking that jersey off, hold your horses because we're now going to get all 4 presenters back on the stage to decide once and for all which was the worst jersey of all of them. Come on back up to the stage, please. Oh, it's amazing. OK, so we have all 4 of our presenters in all their glory up on the stage. On this occasion, all we want are jeers, and we're going to do them individually, and the loudest jeer wins, or I guess loses. So we will start from this end. No, actually, we'll start at the other end with Manon. Get it out of the way. For Manon's Amora Vita McDonald's jersey, 3, 2, 1. For Hank and the Chazal jersey, 3, 2, 1. For the Castorama jersey, in 3, 2, 1. There is a lot of hate for that one. Wow. And finally, for Sebas and the Toshiba jersey, 3, 2, 1.
Well, there you have it.
Pretty hard, huh?
Thank you very much, everyone.
Pretty solid science there.
Yeah.
That people don't like dungaree jerseys.
We are just hearing from the person measuring the decibels that it was Florian's Castorama jersey that came off worse.
Well, thanks to Hank, Florian, Sebas and Manon.
Yep, thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
Right, back to the original topic then. So cycling kit has got a lot better over the years, but why? It's a good question.
It is, but firstly, I think it's because pro team kits are no longer the only kit that's available, which is great news because, I mean, have you seen some of the current Italian Pro Conti kits?
I have, and you wouldn't want to be wearing them, would you? But there came a point in the mid-2000s where all of a sudden we had an incredible amount of choice when it came to buying cycling kit. Almost an endless list of options, really, and a lot of it very good as well.
Yeah, Lycra's gone mainstream, Dan. So, like, what we wear, Lycra, that's fashionable now.
Well, it is, but the shorts that the fashionable people wear don't have those nice, comfy chamois inserts in. So I'll give you the fact that we are now not the only people in the world who enjoy dressing in tight clothing.
Yeah. Incidentally, the naked hairy jersey that we showed you at the start of the show, that's made by a company called Bicycle Booth, and they make loads of random snazzy cycling kits, but they've discontinued the hairy naked jersey now. But they did sell tens of them, apparently.
Yes. Some say discontinued, some say sold out and won't be coming back again. It is good to know, though, that the people that bought that, there are still people out there who are looking to get on the wrong side of cycling fashion. And I actually would put Mathieu van der Poel down at that because I thought about it every time I watched him wearing his morale-boosting white shorts earlier on this year.
Right. White shorts, everybody. Hot or not, white shorts.
I think we would have had a very different response to the question that you just posed, Ollie, from our audience, had it not been for the fact that I was pictured wearing white shorts back in the day, even though I looked really cool.
Anyway, thankfully, there's loads of nice, tasteful, stylish kit out there these days, which means that you can sit at the cafe and not feel that you're being stared at, and, you know, parents don't have to just cover their children's eyes.
Which is a blessed relief to everyone, isn't it? But we'll get back to what we were talking about earlier. The one small problem with all of these different options, it's the price tag.
Yeah, like a lot of modern cycling kit is pretty expensive. And a lot of brands have gone down the line of saying that it's reassuringly expensive, which can mean that it costs more than, I don't know, like Dolce & Gabbana or Prada or Gucci or what, that stuff that you wear.
Well, what I do not want to see tomorrow, Ollie, is you riding down the road here in Mallorca in some brand new Chanel kit. I want to see you riding down the road in Mallorca in Hank's kit from today, if you can prize it off him, because I think he's become rather attached to it. Imagine the looks you would get around Mallorca riding that pink and yellow kit.
Influencer life. Anyway, let us know what you think and what you think the worst cycling kit is of all time in the comments below.
Not just the worst cycling kit of all time, have your vote as well with Hank, Manon, Florian and Sebas. Which was the worst one? Next up, your weekly GCN inspiration. Slightly different this week in that we have chosen the 3 photos, but we are not going to choose the order in which they finish. So, third prize, second prize and first prize will go through later, but our audience, through cheering, will decide which one's first, which one's second and which one's third. Thanks to everyone for submitting them over on the app, and the first photo we're going to show you is this one from Aloha Cyclist, a punchy little climb next to a gorgeous morning view. Perfect start to a work day or any day.
Right, well, next up, we've got this from Buzz Shiva 73, who says it's a cold and windy ride in Wales up to, well, the photo's taken from the top of the Stwlan Dam, which is a beautiful part of the world. It's kind of like a little mini Welsh Stelvio.
And the final photo for this week is this one from Tom Kismal. This is from Kostalen in the island Osterøy on the west coast of Norway. The road was built in 1891 and boasts 17 gravel hairpins, taking you 115 metres up in barely 400 metres of riding. That equals a whopping 27% climb.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
On gravel.
That sounds painful, doesn't it? Right, so those are the 3 photos. We are now going to find out in which order they will finish from the studio audience. So, first up, let's have a cheer for picture number 1. So, it's third place for picture number 1, I think. And so, Aloha Cyclist, you get yourself a GCN Gradient red and black ass saver. Arse saver, whatever you want to say. All right, photo number 2. And the last photo. Very good. So I think in second place, well, it's the order that we had them in, isn't it? In second place, we had Buzcheva 73. So well done to you. You're getting yourself an Epic Climb Stelvio t-shirt and a signed book as well. And in first place, Tom Kishmal, a GCN Cool Blue hoodie, a GCN Elite Fly water bottle, an enamel mug, and a signed endurance book. Don't forget to get involved ready for next week's show by submitting your best photos to the GCN app.
It's now time for Cycling Shorts.
Cycling Shorts now, and we're going to begin with an update from Dan as he continues to hurt himself in the Zwift Academy.
I have finally got around to doing workout 3. I think it's been about 10 days since workout 2, which is not ideal, but it's been a very busy 10 days with work and travelling. So I'm on it now. I'll try and get that recovery ride done over the next 2 days and then crack on with sessions 4, 5 and 6. Or 5, 6 and 7 I guess they are. It's quite nice and cool in here in my pain cave today, which is nice. But just before you see how I get on with today's session, I asked another question to Stephen Gallagher, one of the coaches at Zwift. How on earth does he whittle it down from thousands of entrants down to the final 10 and then the final winners?
It's a big task. You know, we do feel quite a bit of responsibility and are very fortunate to be in a privileged position to see, you know, thousands of people from across the world fed it out for, you know, contracts with some incredibly talented men and women. You know, there is a very sophisticated process that both me and my colleague Dan Fleeman go through. You know, we do spend many late nights going through data. There's a lot of man-hours in it, but again, it's a labour of love. you know, we have a process that we look at, and obviously the way the academy set up this year, there's 2 additional workouts which we use for those hopefuls. So there's a mountain time trial, and there's also you know, an elite workout as well, which is in everybody's workout folder. So with that in mind, we do think about the demands of professional cycling. And the demand of professional cycling now is quite dynamic. That, you know, of course, there's people that are specialists in one area, but we really need to make sure that people have the full toolbox to be able to perform at the elite level. So we do look, of course, at part of weight. We do look, of course, at you know, absolute watts. But we also look 360 in the sense of how good they are, not just at their FTP or aerobic powers, but we look at, you know, their sprint capabilities, their anaerobic capabilities. We look at their, you know, recovery metrics. We look at, you know, how quick they recover. We look at many areas. So it's not just always, you know, the higher the watts, the better in a one-off effort. That we do look very much at you know, everything when it comes to performance. So there is a lot of work goes into that, and you know, we do spend a lot of time looking through data. So it is quite a bit of responsibility for us to narrow it down.
So basically, the session I'm doing today is kind of micro intervals: 10-minute warm up, 1-minute ramp up, 4 minutes steady, and then 4 lots of 30 seconds at 300 watts with a minute and 220 watts between each. So well over threshold for 30 seconds, just under threshold for a minute. 4 in each interval, 5 minutes between 3 of them. I better get cracking on. For some reason, I thought it was 3 lots of 30 seconds at 300 watts and 3 lots of 1 minute at 220. It's actually 4. So at the end of the third 1 minute effort, I was just ready to go easy, and all of a sudden I saw I had to ramp it up again. That was harder mentally than physically, and it was very hard physically. 2 more lots of them to go. They're well designed, these workouts. You can just about get through them. Oh. For the first one, I was thinking I could raise my FTP bias by 5%. I'm very glad I didn't. Right, so that is session 3 done. Although that's only 4 in total, I feel like I'm halfway through now, because the next one's a recovery ride, then 3 more hard sessions, 1 more recovery ride, and then the final test. And hopefully I'll find a bit more time to do them in quick succession every 2 or 3 days rather than once a week. We'll see. Thanks for watching, see you soon.
Well, it looks, Dan, that you've gone from 0 to like nearly 1
almost
already.
Right, yes.
Wow,
flying.
Anyway, unfortunately, we've had the the bad news this week that the Australian cycling summer has been cancelled for 2022.
Yes, I think a lot of us were expecting this news to come out, given the continued stringent rules over in Australia, but still a great shame. And it means that the Tour Down Under and the Cadel Evans Great Ocean Road Race will not take place as pro races in 2022, but of course they hope that they will return as they should be in 2023.
Yes, and in other news, some clever folk over in Denmark have come up with an ingenious use for discarded wind turbine blades.
What has this got to do with cycling, I hear you ask? Well, they are repurposing them as kind of like posh bike sheds, aren't they?
I mean, they look like a fancy pants version of the bike sheds we used to have at my old school. Anyway, the Danish already produce 30% of their energy from wind, which is pretty good, isn't it? But by 2030, they're looking to produce 70% of their energy from it. But the problem is that wind turbine blades have a lifespan of 20 years, so they're going to have to come up with ways to repurpose them and reuse them.
Well, given that there are so many cyclists already in Denmark and that number is increasing each and every year, this does seem like quite a neat way to recycle at least some of those wind turbines, doesn't it? Well done to you. Moving on. There are rumours flying about that there might well be a 15-mile-per-hour limit imposed in the City of London, potentially as soon as next year. This is basically the square mile right in the centre of London.
Is this going to apply to cyclists too, though?
Well, according to this Forbes website article that I was reading, no. But either way, I think it's very good news for any cyclists that use that particular area.
All right, well, we're going to do some housekeeping now. So, as many of you may remember, we had a competition to win some Wahoo Rivals a couple of weeks ago, and the 5 winners are as follows.
We have Sanye Nayar, Justin Archer, Mehdi Hassouni, Massimiliano Fornari and Stein Brusgaard. So well done to all of you. And if yours was not one of those names, fear not, because we've got another fantastic giveaway coming for you now, courtesy of our friends over at Orbea.
Yeah, and this isn't any old prize. This prize is blooming amazing. Someone incredibly lucky is going to win a brand new Orbea Orca Aero bike. How good is that? Look at it.
That is quite the prize. Oh, yes. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, this is quite the prize. And of course, you'll want to find out how you put yourself in with a chance of winning this fantastic bike. Well, you need to get creative. Basically, you need to head over to the Myo website, which is Orbea's custom page, design the best looking bike you possibly can, and hope that you win the prize.
Sounds simple. We'll put a link to the description. I'll put a link in the description down below, and all the details and information will be there too. He was smiling at me because he thought I was going to mess that up, but I reckon
you muddled on
it.
through, didn't you?
I reckon I saved it.
Yeah, good luck to all of you on that one. Whoever you are, your friends are going to be extremely jealous when you ride off on that brand new bike. Moving on. If you are one of those very organised people that's already thinking about Christmas and stocking fillers for your friends and family, we've got something for you.
Yes, we have a limited number of books signed by their authors. So we've got the Endurance book signed by Laura Penhall and Mark Beaumont, and also the Plant-Based Cyclist signed by Nigel Mitchell, no less.
Yep, so if you like the sound of that, head over to the GCN shop. And finally, if you missed it on the Racing News Show this week, you will have missed the fact that we are going to be live streaming the Zwift Racing League this year on our free-to-view platforms. Now, the top division is what's live. We're going to have a pre-show, live commentary, live racing, of course, and a post-race show as well. And it's on 6 consecutive Mondays, starting on Monday, the 11th of October. So make sure you tune into that. We are also entering a team, but we're not in the top division, because we would get spanked, I think is the word. So rather, we're in one below, but I say we, I've got nothing to do with it. You're doing quite well with your team, Ollie, aren't you?
We did all right, yeah. So we did the team time trial, which was the first round. Did it on Tuesday night. It was myself, Si, Alex, and also Mark Threlfall from GTN, and we came second.
Wow. It is now time for Hack/Bodge of the Week now. And we mentioned at the start we were going to rename it Hank/Bodge of the Week. But we subsequently discussed it and decided that would mean Bodge and Bodge, effectively. Yeah. So it's now Hack/Hank of the Week.
Yeah!
Right, starting with this one from Tim Agnew, travelling frame protection. I was packing my bike up to head over to GCN Mallorca for my honeymoon. I became worried about my frame getting damaged during transport. Without the wheels in place, there's not much preventing the fork or rear triangle from getting crushed. I had some old copper pipe lying around. It turned out to be the exact diameter and thickness to make a little spacer for each axle. So I cut a couple of lengths and inserted them into the frame and reinstalled the through axles. The frame is now protected against being crushed from the sides, giving me peace of mind, and not a zip tie in sight. Well, since they're in the audience, I think we better immediately say hack.
Well, let's see how many friends they've made on GCN Mallorca so far.
Right, please raise your cards. Hack or Bodge, or Hack or Hank? Well, there's not a single red card in sight.
No, wow.
There's a surprise. No, very good. Well done.
Right, next up, we've got Marky W, who has converted a used van that he used to use for work, which had 13 years of service, removed a row of seats, and has installed some bike racking in there, and also a drawer that you can see at the bottom that slides out for cycling kit and accessories and other stuff. What do you think of that?
I've got tidiness jealousy looking at that. It looks incredible.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's not up to us.
It's not up to us this week, so we'll once again throw it out to the audience. Please raise your cards. Hack or Bodge? Hack or Hank?
That's a hack, a resounding hack. I can't even see a single red one.
No red cards at all. Wow, doing well here. Moving on, this one came in from Hin Lupin. 3D printed aero computer mount. That is normally immediately a hack, but we'll find out shortly. I'm starting a side business, 3D printing bike parts to make our bikes faster and more usable. This is my aerodynamic mount for the new Wahoo Element Bolt V2 attached to a BMC ICS Aero cockpit. It's meant to smooth the airflow around the computer. I hope you like it, he puts at the end. Well, it's not up to us. So once again, out to the audience, hack or bodge, hack or hank. We haven't had a single red card up the whole way through.
I think that's about to change, Dan. Check this out. It's from Spencer Beavis. Spencer has deemed it appropriate to zip tie some luminous tubes to his handlebars.
Well, I don't even know if we need to pass this to the audience, but we shall do so anyway.
Hack or hank, everybody.
Not a single green card on this occasion. Well, there were some sort of green cards in the voting online because 6% of people voted that a hack.
They thought that was a
great
GCN
app.
Wow.
Do you know what? I met somebody here at GT Mallorca this morning who came up to me and said, I keep hearing you say about zip ties immediately a bodge. The first thing they received when they arrived here was some zip ties to put the numbers on the front of their bike.
That is true, yeah.
Right, moving on to Sankt Johansa, DIY Q sheet holder. Not my hack, I was riding the final 200 kilometres brevet of the season yesterday and came across this DIY Q sheet holder who needs GPS. Thought it was a brilliant idea being able to scroll through the sheets with the handles on the side. And as far as I could tell, it looked pretty rainproof. Maybe it seems ridiculous in these digital times, but I have to say I love the idea of there being no battery to run out.
Yeah.
More zip ties, aren't there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it is properly old school, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, let's get the opinion from the audience again. Is this a hack or a hank? Oh, just in favour of bodge, I would say 66 versus 34.
Hank.
Hank. Yes. Online, meanwhile, that was voted, well, it's 50-50. People were on the fence.
Divided opinion. And, well, lastly this week, we've got Nathan's Church, who's found this reverse tricycle. Said he was passing it and had to stop and take a picture, and then the owner turned up, and the owner said that it rides great, apparently. But what do you guys think? Bodge.
Oh, one hack at the end.
Wow.
But fairly unanimous, should I say. That was a bodge, although the voting online said, well, it was quite close as well. 47% went with hack, 53% went with bodge.
What we can glean from this is that the people voting online are much nicer than our audience.
That's a cracking conclusion. Right, don't forget to get involved ready for next week's show. Next week's hacks and bodges are already on the app for you to vote on, but you can be involved in 2 weeks' time just by submitting your hacks and bodges or hacks and hanks.
Time now for the caption competition and your chance to win a GCN Elite water bottle.
Last week's photo was this one of Julian Alaphilippe having crossed the line to maintain his World Championship status. The winner is Rob Evans, who put caption, despite their best efforts, they couldn't stop Julian from conducting the Rainbow Band. Maybe it shouldn't have won, based on the audience reaction. I'm starting to have second thoughts, but no, well done to you, Rob.
We'll edit in some canned laughter.
Yes, we've got quite a lot of canned laughter now that we can use, haven't we? So, Rob, you should have received a lot of laughter over the top of that. We're going to do it slightly differently this week. We've got the photo for you here now, but I'm not going to get you started. Rather, we have been asking the audience to give us their captions. Somebody has whittled it down to the final 3. We're not going to read out the names because through cheers, they are going to decide who the winner is going to be.
Right. Do you want me to go first?
Yep.
The first one is, and bear in mind, these are the best 3 that we got from our audience. Do you think we could glue Cav to my wheel? That's quite good, actually.
Yes. This one is, well, this is a quick step in the wrong direction.
And lastly, we've got I think there's something stuck to my rim. I don't get that one.
It's just a statement.
Oh, okay.
Right, well, you can still win the prize at home. All you need to do is put your best and wittiest caption into the comment section down below. But here, we are going to give the very lucky winner this musette here in the audience. It is their lucky night. They won't be able to believe this.
I mean, they definitely deserve it.
Well, they do,
one came
yes.
up with this.
Right, so cheers.
Well, firstly, yeah,
for the 3 captions,
yes.
And then the loudest one gets the musette, and hopefully something else.
Cav glued to rim.
Yeah! Oh, can tell who wrote it. And number 2, well, this is a quick step in the wrong direction.
I think Cav's
different
got it.
Tone, that one, wasn't it?
Okay, I think there's something stuck to my rim.
The statement wins it. Just before we get on to what is coming up on GCN over the next 7 days, as ever, we're going to read out a few of our favourite comments, starting with this one, which is underneath last week's GCN show about the UCI coming for gravel. It's from Tenacious E.
Good name.
UCI is currently studying the size and colour of the flannel shirt squares for gravel, as well as minimal beard lengths.
Yeah, I like that.
Or minimum beard length, shall I say.
Yes. Next comment is from Saf1981, who says, yes, I heard the UCI are using digital calipers to standardise the circumference of each gravel stone. If one stone is over the UCI standard, then the event is cancelled. Rule 400089.4.
Meanwhile, Justmar put emptying gravel or coarse debris anywhere but the course will result in 4,000 Swiss franc fine and a 2-race ban.
And more seriously, Andrew Albach wrote, for the independent gravel events, nothing will change. What I'm concerned about, though, is the UCI releasing standards on what a gravel bike is supposed to be and the major manufacturers building to that spec so that they can support their teams. This will effectively remove a lot of the technological innovations that we've seen in gravel bikes over the last few years and thus ruining just a really cool sort of segment of the sport.
A lot of passionate debate about this online and, of course, in the comment section too. Meanwhile, underneath the Wahoo system video with Connor last week, we had these. One from Craig Beattie. What is this woohoo that Connor keeps talking about? And D. Ralusion put, or Dr. Illusion, that probably is. What is the correct pronunciation of Wahoo? Well, shall we hear from Connor now?
Well, we've got someone here from Wahoo tonight, so I think we can lay this to bed.
We can. Ken.
Finally.
There's Ken.
What is the correct pronunciation?
How do you say Wahoo correctly? There we go. So Connor's been getting it wrong.
There we go.
Right, what is coming up on GCN over the next week? On Thursday, it is Ollie back at the helm for the tech show, I presume. And then on Friday, e-scooter versus bike challenge, which sounds dangerous, if you ask me.
Well, Saturday we've got tandem versus size TT bike. Sunday is the Gravel Epic video that, last weekend I just got back from doing the Gravel Epic in Switzerland, so it'll be a video about that.
Nice. On top of all of that content, over on GCN Plus, we've still got more racing. I know Paris-Roubaix is done at this point, but we've got a whole host of one-day Italian races which build up to the Tour of Lombardy, which comes this Saturday. And of course, the cyclocross season is in full swing as well, so plenty more action from the US Cyclocross Series, amongst others, this coming weekend. Right, that is all for this week's GCN show. All that remains to say is a huge thank you for watching at home and a huge thank you for the amazing laughter and interaction from our audience here in Mallorca. Thank you very much.